Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Hamza and welcome to Guide Us TV. And we've been speaking about the mulhideen, the mulhidun, the atheists, and that everyone is in a state of worship, but they have misdirected worship. Now, we're going to be talking about, what do atheists really believe? Do they believe in something? Nothing? I don't know. We have our beloved Sheikh, Yusef, Estes, and he's going to take it from here. Stay tuned. I know it's going to be funny. I know it's going to be loving. I'm going to enjoy this, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
MashaAllah. Actually, this guy right here, for those of you watching at home right now, and it looks like we've got several thousand watching at home, almost as big as the crowd we got here, right? Anyway.
If you include the jinn, yeah.
Yeah, and the angels.
Absolutely. SubhanAllah.
And the ants. Do we have any ants? Anyhow, so seriously, about almost 10 years ago, it was 2009.
Yes.
And Hamza was traveling with us, and we went all over the UK for about a month.
Yep.
The month of June, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And we had such an experience together. All of us became like family, really. Maybe better than family because we weren't fighting each other. And we had Abdurrahim Green,
yep.
Yusef Chambers. Along the way, Dr. Bilal Phillips joined us for a while.
Yep.
We also had somebody else join us for a bit, and we had a really good time. We really did. It was a great experience for all of us. But my friend Omar Weston from Mexico came all the way up, and he traveled with us as well. For me, it was one of the most outstanding experiences that I ever really had as a Muslim because of the different events that we encountered. But I don't want to forget about the man who stood up in one of the programs. I think it was the one where I introduced you as Hamza Gorgeous, as a matter of fact. Because this guy stands up and he starts telling us that he's been meaning to become a Muslim since 1965 or something.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh,
and now, imagine, 1965, he's thinking about being a Muslim, but he kept putting it off. And he decided then and there to become a Muslim. And he was an old person. And along with it, he made out a will and donated his estate to the project.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Amazing.
He received dawah when he was 23, and I think he became Muslim when he was 83.
That's not too bad. What is that? Just 60 years? Some people take more time to make up their mind, I guess. I don't know. So those of you sitting at home and you've been thinking about Islam, I'm going to tell you something. You don't know if you're going to live till tomorrow or even to the end of this program. So I would highly recommend, if you're thinking about it, you believe there's only one God, this might be a real good time for you to make this statement. And by the way, a lot of people know it has to be witnessed. Everybody knows that, right? The shahada needs to have a shaheed. Get it? They're related. You're bearing witness to something and you need a witness for it. So if you're sitting there at home and you're saying there's nobody here to witness it, then you've already missed one of the points of Islam. Because Allah knows everything and He is witness over everything. So don't let that be an excuse. Make your statement of belief in front of the one who you're talking about anyway. Just real simple. I bear witness there is no other God to worship except the one true God, Allah, and hope that Allah will accept that from you. With that, I think we can move forward to the next part of our program. Stay tuned and stay guided with Guidance TV. We'll be right back. I wanted to readjust it, that's why I did what I did. Also, people like to watch more short programs than they do a real long one.
This is awesome. Like he has nearly like 800,000 people on the page, right? And when you put those videos...
And almost.
When you put videos on there, you have tens of thousands of people just benefiting. So you get the reward not only by sitting and being a little bit patient and trying to learn something and be inspired, but you get the reward for facilitating da'wah to thousands of people. Imagine that. Allahu Akbar.
I'm not doing too good on this. Like that?
He's put on the title Mulhid or Dumbhead.
We're back, and as we promised, we've got our program, and those of you at home, you can see it. I don't know that I totally agree with what he was saying, but I let him put it up anyway. So I mean, if you like it, then great, but if you didn't, blame him. Okay? That's how we operate today. So, mulhead or dumbhead? And let's talk about that for just a second. What is an atheist? What do they believe or not believe? Basically, an atheist will tell you they don't believe. This is what they're all about. They don't believe, and they won't believe. Because believe would indicate that there's something to believe in, and they don't believe in anything. But the strange thing about it is, as soon as you start talking to them, they'll start telling you what they do believe, or what they don't believe. So they're still using the word. If there's really nothing, then why bother? There's really nothing. It's going nowhere. It's doing nothing. Well, it's moving around, this or that. Some things are changing, but hey, no purpose, no point. The strangest thing about that is that some of these people who make this claim are some of the most dedicated people to trying to achieve something. But what would be the point? If you don't believe in anything to start with, why bother to go to school? Why bother to make any money? Because everybody knows, I think, you're going to die, right? So if you came from nothing, and you're going to go back to nothing, why bother? Why strain yourself? Sit back, watch some TV, check out your Facebook account, and cash in. What the heck? I want to, first, before we get into it too deep, I want to mention something that occurred to me after a visit to Sweden. My first visit to Sweden in the year 2000. And when I got there, I was being taken on a tour by some of the locals. They're very proud of their country, and you should be proud of the good things that you got going on. And when we're standing on a bridge, and by the way, Stockholm, Sweden, is a land of bridges, because they've got all these islands. If you didn't know that, there's a bunch of islands. Maybe not like Indonesia, but a bunch of islands. And all these bridges. So we're standing on one of the bridges, and this gentleman is telling me, do you know what we're famous for? I said, I'm sure you're going to tell me. He said, we are famous for being the very last to accept Christianity and the first to kick it out. I think he thought, as I'm a Muslim, that I'd be impressed and happy with the statement. But it didn't make me happy at all. Especially not what he said next. He said, and we're number one in the world for atheism. Wow. Oh yeah, and what else? We're number one in the world for suicide. Okay. In fact, the bridge that we're standing on right now, you know what it's famous for? I said, I don't know. He said, people jumping off and killing themselves. Okay. It's not my favorite hobby, but... And I'm looking at this big giant fence that's all along both sides of the bridge. He said, you see the fence? I said, yeah. He said, people will have to climb up on the top and jump so that they can go down. okay, this is a different kind of a tour. So I leaned over to try to see what was below, how far is it down to the water? And then I looked at him, I said, there's no water. It's a highway with trucks running up and down. He said, yeah, that's the whole point. If the fall doesn't kill you, a truck will. Huh? Before we went on too much of the tour, we wound up at another place, and they had this great big mountain, and as we were approaching it, I made the comment, I said, what is that funny looking mountain? It looks like a toasted marshmallow. It was kind of like, how a marshmallow look when you put it on the fire. And I was looking at it, I said, it looks like a toasted marshmallow. He said, do you know what it's famous for? I said, I don't know. He said, people jumping off and killing themselves. I'm like, When I visited Finland, I heard the same thing. Number one in atheism, number one in suicide. I visited Norway, number one in atheism, number one in suicide. In Denmark, they made sure that no matter what other people say, we're number one in atheism and we're number one in suicide. Why do they always have to mention the suicide part? Is that scary to you or no? Belgium and Holland made the same claims to me. Atheism, suicide. Are we seeing a connection here? Huh? Because when a person gets the things that they want in this life, the achievements, they see their goals being met, then they go on to the next goal. I got this, so I'm going to work on that. I got this, I'm going to work on that. Especially when they attribute their successes to themselves. I did that. Look at me. I'm good. But then, and this happens in a lot of colleges, when people get their test results back and they find out they failed, they commit suicide. Anybody ever heard of that before? In colleges? Yeah, raise your hand. Yeah, you heard about it before? Yeah. First time I heard about it, I was shocked. I said, why would anybody kill themselves because they got a bad grade? They said, well, first of all, that's not all there is to it. Their parents put up a lot of money, some people borrowed money, and they're going through all of this, and they had these high hopes, and the next thing you're going to do another university, blah, blah, blah. And all of their dreams have been smashed. They have no reason to live. Huh? Maybe I'm just kind of dumb. I'm from Texas. Maybe I'm missing a point here. But I always got a reason to live. When people are going out into wars and they come back with their legs missing, some of these people actually become even more dedicated to life than when they went to the war. Got no legs? Hey, no problem. Did you see these guys in the wheelchairs playing basketball and stuff like that? Marathons? Because now they say, I really got a reason to live. It's a whole different perspective. A lot of these people, by the way, are Christians. Having a belief in something is definitely better than no belief in anything. Now, obviously, from a Muslim point of view, we think, well, we're right in what we believe, and we'd like other people to know about it. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, I want to make a very clear point that some people, just by their passport or their declaration that they have with them, are not really qualified to be saved. Whether they're Christian and think they're saved, Jewish thinking they're saved, Muslim thinking they're saved, it's not until the one who created them is satisfied with them that they got a chance. This is very critical to a concept that we have to embrace if we're going to accept the reality of what Islam teaches us. Because it says in the Quran, the meaning, you don't guide who you love. It is Allah who guides to His straight path. So don't you write anybody off and say this person is definitely not going to go anywhere, he's this or he's that. Don't you give up on somebody. And don't give up on yourself. Next point, and there's a couple of points that I'm trying to make here with this. The next point is, just because somebody today is like a big sheikh for Islam, for instance, and you see them wearing the dishtash and his ghutra and his, big long beard. Anyway, forget about that. What I'm saying is, you might think somebody is really close to Almighty God. But you don't know. You really don't. Somebody in the streets, he's got all kind of problems, made all kinds of sins. It's like, no way, this guy, he's destined for the hellfire, right? But then you don't know. Maybe he's the one going to paradise. I'll share with you what the hadith plus or minus meaning is, and you think about it. Our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said what mean in English language? That somebody could be so far away from Islam, that he's almost in the fire of hell. But then what's written for him overtakes him, and he repents or becomes what he should be, and he dies and he goes to paradise. And then he said, that somebody could be so righteous, so apparent to us anyway as the best of the best, and almost in the paradise, but then what's written for him overtakes him, and he does the acts of what's called kufr or disbelief, and as a result, this is what he dies on, he'll go to the hellfire. Everybody know this hadith? Then why are we still judging other people? Isn't Allah the best of the judges? Now, we're broadcasting this live, and I want non-Muslims to hear what I just said. Because I don't want anybody to give up. And I don't want anybody to think that, the Muslims think we're all self-righteous and we're saved, and you're not. That is not our attitude. We are working on ourselves on a daily basis, trying to get closer to the Almighty. And talking about hadith or narrations from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said what means in English, that in the very last days, there's not going to be all these religions anymore. There will only be iman and kufr. There will be belief and disbelief. That's it. How many of you heard about this hadith? Not too many? Well, now you did. I want you to think and reflect on it as I mention a few facts. The group that we're attaching ourselves to are called Muslims, right? We're saying that we're Muslims, we hope. Is Islam the fastest growing religion in the world? Yes or no? Come on, you guys don't have microphones, so speak up. Is Islam the fastest growing religion in the world or not? Thank you. I think I woke up two people in the back. I'm not sure. Anyway, so I'm going to tell you, maybe you're right, maybe you're not. If you consider that atheism is a form of a religion because they have a belief in something, then Islam is not the fastest growing religion. Why? A lot of people are leaving Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Christianity, and even, yes, Islam. People are leaving. This is not something we're proud of to hear. In fact, I don't like anybody giving up, but they're doing so Many of them because they don't find what they need or want in their faith. This is a fact. Some are just simply misguided. But Islam is still the fastest growing of the faith groups because many people are leaving their particular faith to become Muslim. This is true. Ultimately, if this continues, and it most likely will, then exactly what the Prophet ﷺ said will come true. Exactly what he said will happen. Because more and more people coming to Islam, it's the only growing religion. And this is Iman growing and Kufr growing. We have, in the United States, Muslims have purchased many churches because nobody goes there anymore. By the way, we just closed on our new mosque, which was a church. Well, I've been on the road, it happened. So, congratulations to the guys at home. I'm glad you guys are working. I'm just around having fun. You know. Also, in the UK, where Hamza's from, they're also buying churches that nobody wants anymore. In some places, though, there are masajid that nobody's using anymore. And that's kind of scary to me. I would like us to be aware of the fact that there are people who today may be other than Islam. Just leave it at that. But tomorrow they could be better Muslims than us. You follow me? Okay. Now let's talk about exactly what is this atheism thing really all about. As we heard from Hamza a little earlier, with some really big, juicy words that he said real fast, and some of us went, huh? But we heard from him describing what's inside of the internal workings of the brain and the connect that's needed for the brain to get it. And when people give up and they just don't want to accept it anymore, that's not the belief I want. That's not the God I want. Okay? And they move on. The fact is, to be a real Muslim, you've got to make some adjustments to your thinking. You have to make some adjustments to your life. Let's consider what our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us about it. He said, "Ad-dunya sijnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir." Ad-dunya sijnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir. How many of you know about this hadith? Raise your hand. Over half the room, mashallah. And the ladies too, mashallah. I'm impressed. Oh. How many of you know what it means? Almost the same number. That's pretty cool too. A translation to English could be, this material world that we live in is a prison, a sijin, a prison to a true believer. But it's the only paradise of a disbeliever. So there is a paradise for everybody. Some get their paradise here, some get it in the next life. Some people confuse success with happiness. What do I mean? What is success? It's getting the stuff you want. You set a goal, you achieve the goal. Success! Yay! Takbir, Allahu Akbar. Right? I got what I wanted. That's success. But is it happiness? Well, if you must continue to do something else, then definitely that wasn't happiness. Let me explain it in even more simple terms. Being happy is to be satisfied and content with what you already have. Then you're in a state of happiness. So can we say it like this? Success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get. Simple as that. If we put it in that context, then we begin to understand how people could lose their faith. Because they're not going to be content unless they get what they want. You follow that? How many times have you heard people say, or heard about people who said, there must not be a God because I didn't get what I wanted? Hamza referred to somebody a little earlier who wanted to quit praying because he got bad grades. Is that right? He didn't get the grades he wanted. He still believes in Allah, right? But he's not going to do anything. Like, I'm mad at you, Allah. Yeah. I know somebody, actually, in our family, from a Christian background, but he got so mad at God. He didn't say there is no God. He just said, I'm mad at God. I'm not going to talk to him anymore. Granted, a lot of people don't really have the right concept of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not a man sitting up on a cloud somewhere with a long beard. Okay, that's not Allah. Allah is beyond comprehension. Allah is greater than the creation that He created. So this is not, there's no way to compare Allah to anything that we could even understand. But for one thing, we know He is the epitome of each and every one of His characteristics. We don't say He has mercy. We say He is mercy. We don't say He has patience. He is patience. He is a sabur, the patient, the patience, actually. All of the attributes, 99 attributes, He is the absolute of each one of those. When you understand that, that helps you to put things in a better perspective of who you're talking about, who you're really trying to get close to here. Your Creator who made you, planned everything for you. This is who you're talking about. So I want to mention this before I go any further about talking about atheism, because a lot of times people have the wrong notion about who Almighty God really is. Now, if somebody believes, as a Muslim believes, that the God is outside of this creation, He existed before the creation, and He put it together, and He is the one controlling everything, they could still have a mistake in what's called the qadr. And this, by the way, is another hadith of Muhammad telling, peace be upon him, in the last days, this subject of qadar and qadr is going to be in dispute by some of the Muslims. But brothers, sisters, and those of you watching at home, this is a vital part of the 6 pillars of belief in Islam. To believe in Allah, His angels, His books, His prophets, the day of judgment or resurrection, and the qadr, predestination, kismet of Allah. Now there is where people have a problem. Because if there's a God, how come I don't feel good today? If there's a God, how come I didn't get the promotion? And I prayed. I even stopped what I was doing the other day, pulled the car over to the side of the road, and I said, hey, God, I need some money. Amen. And drove on. And I didn't get any money. So it must not be a God. Or if they want to say there's a God, but I'm mad at that God because He didn't give me what I wanted. How come my aunt got cancer? She's a good lady. I did a series one time about this subject. We called it, Why Bad Things Happen to Good People. Why did somebody who's so nice, I mean, this guy's doing charity every day, giving from his own savings to help other people. And He's helping his neighbors, mowing their lawn whenever they're out of town, and he's doing so many good things. And he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't cuss. What does it say? We don't drink and we don't smoke, we don't chew, and we don't go with the girls that do. I mean, this guy is really a nice person. So nice. But he got cancer. Or he was in a car wreck. And now he's paralyzed. He's in a coma. Let me ask you a question. I want you to really reflect. Don't answer me. Just think about the question. Who in this room is not going to die? So everybody's going to die, right? So if there was a God, why do people die? How about that? But people all die. There's nobody that can get around it. Even when Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, comes back and is on the earth and leads the true believers, which is what he's going to do, he's still going to die. And everybody else is going to die too. So if you thought that this was your paradise, you didn't think very far ahead, did you? Because ultimately you're going to leave this place. The prison that we're talking about, that you're living in right now, think about it. Our Creator has put limits on us, yes or no? In a prison, I used to work in the prisons, I'm pretty familiar with it. There are certain things that are limits. There's one real big limit. First, the smaller ones. You don't get to choose the attire that you would like to wear. I can't order a heart-shaped marked suit. I can't order up, I'm going to wear a nice red tie today, look like Donald Trump, something like that. I can't do it. I can't order up the shoes that I would like to have, or the boots, or the cowboy hat. I'm going to have to wear the same clothes as everybody else in the prison. True or false? Yes, sir. In the United States, mostly orange. That's a god-awful color, too. This is a reality. What about the food? In the prison, do they take your order like they do on the airplane? So would you like to have the chicken, the beef, or the lamb? Well, okay, let me think back. Yeah, I'll get back to you. Is that the way a prison operates? No. You got gruel, you got succotash, or you just got some oatmeal. Help yourself. Choose your beverage, water or coffee. Wow, this is a prison. Now, work. You get to choose the kind of work you'd like to do. I'd like to sit at a desk, put my feet up, and occasionally answer the phone. That sounds good to me. Not in a prison. You're going to do what they tell you to do. I might get my hands dirty. Oh, well. It is a prison, right? There's more. The big one. What's the biggest thing of a prison? Have you ever thought about what the biggest problem of a prison is? What did they cut you off from? Because it's not really that the clothes are that bad or the food's all that bad. There's something really big about being in prison. You can't be with those who you love. And in this life, we can't be with the ones that we really love. We love the prophets, especially Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, more than we love ourselves. And we love Allah more than anything. To love Allah and the Prophet is the goal of the Muslim. This is what we're living for, to do what they have ordered us to do. In the Quran, it says, Ati Allah wa Ati Rasul. Obey Allah and obey His Messenger. And in one of the ayahs talking about this, it only says, obey the Messenger. This is Allah talking. Obey the Messenger. For the benefit of those who have thrown away half of our faith, by saying that they don't accept hadith, I feel really sorry for them because they just threw themselves completely out. The Quran is hadith. The Quran is hadith, coming to us in the form of hadith. Hadith has a isnad, a chain of narrators, and then passed on to others. That's how it works, right? How did the Quran come to Muhammad? From the angel Jibreel, right? And Allah gave it to him. So Allah gave it to Jibreel, the angel. Jibreel gave it to Muhammad, and Muhammad, he didn't write a single word of it, did he? No. He spoke it, and people heard it, and then they also did the same thing, and it's been passed down generation upon generation upon generation until we have it today, mouth to ear. Of course, there are those who did write it down at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, but that's not the same. Not the same. The actual part that's not written wasn't, the angel didn't write anything down, and the Prophet ﷺ didn't write anything down. What we have in the Quran, and we've got them sitting right here, these Qurans right here, they were printed recently. They're still the same, they represent it, but understand we've got something that nobody else has. Quran cannot be changed. Nobody can change it. Nobody can play with it because Allah is protecting it. Every country I visited, even in this trip, I met people who have memorized the entire Quran. And whether I was in Korea or Indonesia, Malaysia, Africa, in Dar es Salaam, and then in Oman, and now here in Kuwait, everybody memorizing exactly the same thing. From the Ba in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim to the Sin in Minal Jinnati wan Nas. Nobody had a different Quran. Nobody had a different version. Nobody had anything that meant anything else. The different kirat are nothing more than the way you pronounce something. They're not different narrations or readings. I wanted to emphasize that because if we're going to talk about atheism, if we're going to talk about people who have no belief, I cannot blame somebody if nobody gave them something to believe in. But if you're watching right now, and you're hearing what we're saying, it's time to wake up and make an adjustment, a chiropractic adjustment to your brain. Crack it and think. There's proof. Hard evidence showing us clearly that there is a God. All you need to know now is what should I do about it. Keeping in mind that for whatever difficulty you face today, there's a reason for it. And there's something much better for you waiting if you'll just be patient and do what you're told to do. I'll read something to you. I'll tell you another short story. We're going to wrap it up. I'm going to read to you from the Quran what Allah said, your purpose. You need to know your purpose. I need to know my purpose. And the first time I read the Quran and I ran across it, I shouted, hey, look at this. My wife is like, what's the matter with you? I said, look at what it says. In the Arabic it said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ لِيَعْبُدُونِ. The meaning of it in English, Allah said, I didn't create you guys except that you will worship. And people do that. As we heard Hamza say earlier, everybody worships something. Maybe it's not a God like we would describe a God, or an image, or some kind of a statue, or a rock, a stick, a stone, a bone. But it is something they worship, whether it's in reality or not. They're devoting their love and affection to something. And that's exactly what Allah said. And of course, the thing that he wants you to do is what? And he tells you the opposite thing. If you don't do it, here's what's going to happen. If you don't worship him alone without partners, then it means you are worshiping something other than him. And in chapter 4, verse 48 of the Quran, he said it very clear. He does not forgive that people associate others with him in worship, but anything less than that, he can forgive. Brothers and sisters, there's hope for you. If you are giving up on yourself, don't give up on Almighty Allah, because he can forgive anything. I don't care what kind of mistakes you make. He can forgive it if you will believe in him and be serious in what you're saying. Be serious with him. Say, God, guide me. That's why we call the channel Guide Us. We believe in that very much. The channel that we have, no advertising on it. We want you to have the chance, when any of you have tuned into it, you're going to hear this message. There's only one God, worshiping alone without partners. Now, little quick story. The subject of atheism is that they're trying to say everything came, first of all, from a big explosion. Now, we have something in the Quran talking about something that was a sudden expansion. This is mentioned in Quran 1,400 years ago. For the benefit of the scientists who say that blah, 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 the Quran, no. This so-called Big Bang is mentioned in the Quran. However, it's not a random explosion by accident. Don't come to Muslims and tell us about random explosions by accident. We're supposed to be the experts on bombs, right? Huh? And we already know. Take a look at some of the pictures of Iraq and Syria. Take a look right now on YouTube and go look. And that's what happens when bombs go off. It's not beautiful. It's not pretty. It's not organized. It's not having dynamics associated with it like what we see in the universe, what we see through a telescope, what we see through a microscope. These are the creation of Allah. That mess that we are seeing is the garbage that we've done to the creation of Allah. Put it in perspective. Understand that that's a critical part of what you're not understanding. What about this beginning, the creation? Next, after talking about this Big Bang, the next thing they talk about, the whole earth is covered with water. And they have proof. Okay? No problem with that. Allah talks about that in the Quran as well. So no big deal. That water, according to them, turns into blue-green algae. Because if it sits long enough, it's just going to have this blue-green algae. But that's life. How did that suddenly cause life? And then something comes along and has to eat it. That's what it says in the book. Something had to come along and eat it. Really? What kind of science is that? These amoeboids are suddenly going chomp, 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 you're like Pac-Man, you know. And then something bigger had to come and eat those amoeboids. A bigger Pac-Man version, I don't know. And then something had to jump up out of the water and catch these birds flying over. Now, they don't mention where the birds came from, or the bugs that are flying over, but something had to jump out and get that. And then somehow fish used their gills and went, oh wow, hey, after millions and millions of years of trying it out, they finally turned their gills somehow into wings and flew away. Wow, what an imagination. It gets better. Then the creeping on the land thing, all of a sudden, lemurs. Lemurs. These are precursor to primates, become monkeys. Monkeys become baboons. Baboons become apes. Apes suddenly start looking like gorillas, chimpanzees. By the way, the chimpanzee is a lot more intelligent and easier to work with than the gorilla, but that's beside the point. All of a sudden, in that picture, everybody's seen the picture, right? Where you got these different grades, and all of a sudden, Hey, look at this guy. He's got a briefcase and he's walking along with no clothes on. It's weird. Now, imagine a man takes his 5-year-old daughter to the zoo. And there's that picture right over there. And they go to the monkey house and look at all the monkeys and seeing that big picture up there. And she said, Daddy, what's that? He said, this is the evolution of the human being through the primate stage up to what we see today. We actually came from those monkeys. This is the process of evolution. According to Charles Darwin, about 150 years ago, that's it. She's standing there, 5 years old. Daddy, if we evolved from monkeys, how come we still got monkeys? Oops. Speaking of monkeys, give an atheist a banana. Seriously. And tell him, here's a banana, enjoy. And watch him try to open it. Give him one of those green ones, you know what I mean? So you got to kind of work with it. And watch him try to bend it over, try to pull it back. Anybody will do that. You'll have the same problem. But a monkey won't. Because a monkey's not going to open I used to have monkeys, by the way. They don't open the banana the same way that human beings do. Stop and think. The monkey is up in a tree, right? He's holding on to the tree with his feet and his hands. Now, why would he grab a banana and break it off, and then with both hands he's trying to open it, he's going to fall out of the tree? So they open the other end of the banana. They don't even pick it. They open the other end. If there's a problem with the banana, they leave it. But if it's a good banana, they go ahead and open it all up and they eat it out, and they don't drop the peeling down on the ground so that other predators won't know that there's a monkey up there. Now you're telling this story to the atheist while he's trying to open the banana. And then you look at him very seriously and you say, what'd you do, forget? Oh. But now on a much more serious, I like to throw that one in because it's kind of funny. But on a much more serious note, as anybody here is in the medical profession, doctor, nurses, anybody in medical, mashallah. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you know something about this. Whenever someone has a serious burn and their skin has been burned off and you need to replace it, you can go to like the leg area or the back or somewhere and pull some skin and covers it, right? And that will then grow back and kind of cover it up and be okay. Is it true? But if there's such a big area that's burned that you have to go to another living creature to get it from, do you run to the jungles or the zoos and grab up a chimpanzee and throw him down and grab his skin off? Is that how it works? No? Oh. Or do you go to the local farm in a barn somewhere and grab a pig and take his skin and put it on there? Which one? It's the pig. That's where we get the skin. And if you're doing a heart operation and you need a valve, one of our relatives just had triple bypass this week. Triple bypass. Where do you think they get the valves from? Huh? Orangutan? Gorilla? Nope. Back to the barn. Oink! Grab that pig. That's how it works. So all this stuff about the chromosome matchup and the genealogy, blah, 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 the pig obviously is a lot closer. And I don't even want to think about evolution from a pig, okay? It's not going to happen. Now we've dealt with their so-called beliefs. Let's look at something else. Why is this person refusing to accept belief at all? Because they don't want to. Bottom line, they don't want to. My friend and I, when we worked together many, many years ago, for a man, he was a chain smoker. He actually would light a cigarette off of his other cigarette. Rather than let it go out, he'd light another and light another. And both of us, we weren't smoking. So we wanted to take that away from him. What we did, we grabbed him and tried, he was a little guy. We grabbed him and tried to take his cigarette. When we did, he threw both of us against the wall, opposite walls. And we're asking, where did this energy come from? Where did this strength get from? And he said, never mind that. I want to teach you something. Do you know why people do what they do? Why do people smoke? Do you know why people smoke? Even when you bring the evidence and show them it will kill them, even when you put it on the package, I saw it in the airport when I got here, half the package says causes cancer on it. Why do people smoke? And he gave me the answer. Because they want to. This is the human being. You always have a choice. You have a choice right now. You have a choice until you take your last breath to choose to believe or not believe. If you want to believe, ask the one who created you, show me the way, and he'll do it. And that's a simple wrap-up on that. I ask Allah to accept from all of us what we've talked about tonight and put it in perspective for all of you in the future who may see this. And from myself and from Hamza, we are both still right here. It's been a great chance for me to be with you again. You'd like to say some closing remarks?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
That's closing enough for me. Peace be upon all of you. And remember, get guided with Guidance TV. Until next time, peace. Assalamu alaikum. Wait a minute, one more time. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.